This is a King James Moment, brought to you by Lighthouse Baptist Church in Grand Prairie, Texas. In Daniel chapter number 3, we find the amazing story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and their courageous stand against Nebuchadnezzar and the bowing down of the image. And they took their stand. They continued to go on about their business regardless of what the rest of the world was doing. And whenever they were called before the king, they even said, "We're not careful to answer you, O king." And so they ended up in the burning fiery furnace. It looked like a pretty severe end to some faithful believers. What's amazing is that once they were cast into the burning fiery furnace, someone else showed up. And we look at verse number 25, still in Daniel chapter number 3, and it says, "And he answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men walking in the midst of the fire." Again, this was Nebuchadnezzar speaking. "And they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God," with a capital S and a capital G. Very explicit who that's speaking about. That it's speaking of Jesus Christ in the King James Bible in Daniel chapter number 3 and verse number 25. Without a doubt, it's Jesus Christ. The problem is, in the new Bible versions, that verse is misinterpreted to end up reading, "And the fourth looks like a son of the gods," plural. Instead of the capital S, Son, being God himself, of God, capital G, again being the one true living God. So instead of being the very living Son of God, Jesus Christ, it says, looks like a little s son, certainly not God, of the gods, plural. The New Age Bible perverters have done a couple of things. Firstly, they attack the superiority and the eternality of Jesus Christ. They do that by trying to kick Jesus Christ out of the Old Testament. You say, "Brother Grice, Jesus doesn't belong in the Old Testament." Well, sure. Tell that to the Apostle John. Go read John chapter number 1, the very first few verses, that very opening of the book of the Gospel of John. And then compare those verses with Genesis chapter number 1, the very opening verses of the Old Testament of the Bible. And you'll realize very quickly that Jesus has been in the Old Testament all along. The second thing that they do is they ruin the symbolism of Jesus Christ protecting believers from the fiery pits of hell. See, the new Bible versions have ruined the very best part of the chapter. The chapter is not about people taking a stand. It's about people being blessed because of their faith. It's about Jesus Christ protecting believers. It's about God taking care of his children. And here in Daniel chapter 3 and verse number 25, as long as you have a King James Bible, you see God doing just that. In the New Age Bible versions, they just have some son of some gods showing up. I don't think that just some son of some gods has the power to protect believers. Defenders of the New Age Bible versions might even say, well, how could Nebuchadnezzar possibly know what Jesus Christ looked like? Well, first of all, God could have revealed it to him through special knowledge like he did people throughout history. But besides that, the same question can be asked, how can Nebuchadnezzar recognize the little s son of any little g gods? The truth of the matter is, the King James Bible folks, the King James Bible interpreters knew and understood that verse was not written for Nebuchadnezzar. The verse was in fact written for believers. The verse was written for you and I today as we see the scriptures, so we could see Jesus Christ always throughout eternity working in the lives of believers. And like I always say, I'm sticking with my King James Bible. And once again, this has been a King James Moment from Lighthouse Baptist Church.